Hello, guys. It's Guy again from Canada. Today, we're going to talk about ADHD, self-medicating with stimulants. And I wasn't diagnosed until I was 40 years old. And it was kind of relieving when I received the diagnosis. But however, when I was a child or a teen, I was often just classified as difficult, hard to manage, very hyper. And then, hearing from not only my family, but also professionals and school teachers, and you develop this belief that inside that there's something wrong with me. Like, why am I like this? And it's interesting because when I started using stimulants at a very early age, I had all these racing thoughts going through my mind. Like at any given time, there was like 10 thoughts. But when I started self-medicating with stimulants, I mean, from 10 thoughts down to 2 thoughts from these stimulants. And it actually gave me the ability to, function and focus on tasks in my life, which was absolutely impossible for me to do without it. Only problem with self-medicating is that I had no stopping point, and it developed into a dependency to these stimulants because, when you're not diagnosed with anything and just classified as problematic, you start addressing it in your own way. And when you find something that works, for me, I was punished and criminalized for it, stigmatized for it, and just now basically looked upon as, a dirty substance user. And for me, that just got me in this, developed me into more dependencies on different drugs, and the self-medication that I was using to self-medicate became so problematic in my life. And it's really, when I look back on it, I describe how I was blamed for using the substances, but it was the system that failed because they didn't diagnose me early enough with ADHD. And I can remember when I was diagnosed at 40 with it, they tried different combinations of medications out here, methamphetamine, and so what it did do is it did give me the ability to focus. But in my life, because of so long of being dependent on these stimulants and other opioids, it was very difficult for it to work. And so because you've already developed this pattern for so long, but eventually we did find some medications that worked, and then I started to be able to function normally, which was really so relieving because it's so traumatizing when people often just go to, because you're using illegal substances, they just go to, oh, well, he's just a drug user, it's an addiction. And no, it wasn't an addiction. It was because you failed to diagnose me with ADHD, which led me to this. And now you're blaming me. And yes, I mean, I had to eventually take responsibility to change my life, but I wasn't responsible for the failure of the system. That they own that, and this still continues to exist today in people's lives. And we have to look at, if the person's using crystal meth or cocaine and it's giving them the ability to function, then obviously there's a diagnosis that could be something other than just going right to, oh, he's a drug addict or a drug user, or without proper diagnosing of the individual. And that's where we need to get to moving forward. And here in British Columbia, we've actually got new guidance created, because there's a lot of stimulant polysubstance users, and especially stimulant users. And so we've added these stimulants to the risk mitigation guidance in order to help people, try to find some balance. And it's actually for the ones, so we've found 2 things: that it either works for somebody or it doesn't work at all. And for some people, taking the pills, the stimulant pills, like the Ritalin or the methamphetamine, and I believe one of the newer drugs that might be added to it is Adderall. It gives people the ability to take these pills and function through their daily routine at work without thinking of using the illicit market. So it's been really beneficial, and for the ones that it doesn't work for, they just don't come back to get them anymore. But so it's kind of, it's interesting. I know a lot of the times too, when I was self-medicating from stimulants, when I was injecting the stimulants, I developed, heavy paranoia and started to really impact my life that way. But when I started to smoke the stimulants, I wasn't paranoid. And so I switched from injecting to smoking because it actually stopped me from being so paranoid of things. And then I still had that ability to actually focus on getting tasks done. Like for me, it was one of those things like finding housing or getting primary care or making it to appointments. And then eventually, I just found the right combination of medications that gave me the ability to move forward with my life, and then gave me the ability to actually stop taking these medications. Am I still a hyper guy and still have lots of thoughts that go through my head? Yeah, but I've developed a process in my life where it's just like, I accept that and found tools and skills that benefit my life in order to move forward. So it's actually been an amazing journey in my life, but the discovery through personal life experience has really changed the trajectory of my life in so many ways, but given me the wisdom to actually, have that ability to pass that forward to anybody else that's struggling. So I hope this helps and inspires you, and hopefully we can, make stimulants a reality in our society, and that'll have to come with, a regulated, safer stimulant supply, because safer supply is for stimulants as well. It needs to be looked at and addressed because we have a population that uses stimulants all the time, and people have the human right to have safer stimulants instead of ones tainted with either fentanyl or other substances. So the quicker we do this, the more we're going to have not only safer saving lives, but also safer communities for everybody. Thank you.